In this lesson, I'm going to talk about and demonstrate the switch statement in Java. So we have been working with the if and else statements in previous lessons. The switch statement can have a number of possible execution paths. So unlike if then or if then else statements, the switch can have any number of execution paths. So basically how that works is a switch works with, for example, any integer type like byte, short, character, or int primitive data types. You can also use with other enumerator types, and we'll take a look at in subsequent lessons, or the string class. So next, I'm going to demonstrate how this actually works and how effective is the switch statement in Java. So let's go ahead and let me switch to our Java Eclipse editor. So here we have our Java Eclipse open. So let me go ahead and simply create a new class. Let me right click on Java Introduction, click on New, and then choose Class. And I'm going to call it Switch Demo and click Finish. And this would open up a new file with our public class called Switch Demo. So once again, the switch statement would allow a variable to be tested for equality against a list of values. So that's an easy way to put what a switch statement would do. So each value is called a case when building a switch statement. And the variable being switched on is checked for each case. So if we were to do a list of months, for example, we could use the switch and create cases for each of these months and test them. So let me in fact demonstrate how this actually works. So we have our public class switch demo. Next, let me go ahead and do the properties here. So I'm going to call it public, static, void, and main. Use our string, and then our command line argument. Open the curly braces. Perfect. So define our variable first. That's the first thing we have to do. So let's do a month here. Equals, let's say 8 months. So int month equals 8. Semicolon. I'm going to put up a string here. So month string. And then use my switch, right? So, and what am I switching here? I'm essentially switching our variable, which is the month. So we put the variable within the parentheses, open our curly braces, and then start defining our cases, right? So that we can test against these. So let's go ahead and do case 1 would be month string. And this would equal the month of January. And then next, I'm going to use the break statement. So the break statement, let me elaborate on this a little bit. The break statement in Java programming language has, in essence, 2 usages. First, the break statement is encountered inside a loop, and the loop is immediately terminated, and the program controls resumes at the next statement following that loop. So that's the first use of the break statement. So we use essentially the break within a loop. The second usage is that it can be used to terminate a case in the switch statement. So we can either use the break within our loop or the case. Since we're using the case here, we can also use the break. So right after case 1, month string equals January, we use the break. Let me go to the next line, and let's do case 2, and month string would equal February. And then I'm going to go ahead and break again. Let me in fact tab the top one so we stay with the convention. Great. And also place a semicolon at the end of February, so our syntax remains correct. And I also need a semicolon on line 6. Great. So once I have entered, let's say, a case 1, a case 2, I'm going to repeat this for the rest of the months, right? So we have January, February, and then we'll have, let's say, case 3, and this will be month string equals March, and I'm going to break again and continue this till the last month. So instead of typing, I'm just going to copy it. So copy these 2 lines of code and use a shortcut, right? So I'm just going to print it and keep pasting it several times, and we'll just fix up our code. That's the best way to do it. So January, February, March, and then we have our case 4. So this will be the month of May, and just fixing up our code. And let's break again. Let's do a new case. And just make sure I have my numbers corrected. So this is case 5. Then I have my case 6. This is 7. And the month is July. And next, I'm going to have, let's say, case number 8. And this would be August. And let's scroll down. Tab again. And use the next case, which is month 9, and this will be September. Next month would be October. This will be month number 10 for October, and then just a couple of more months, right? So let me just go ahead, in fact, copy these 2. So the last month would be the month of 12. Great. So once our cases are complete, obviously, let's print out, right? So we need to tell Java to do a system.out.print, and this would print out, let's say, the month string. Put a semicolon. Great. So this code example, simply we declared a variable. So let me scroll up. So here's our variable. Let me get rid of the 0 here. I don't know where that came from. So int month equals 8, fine, and then we named the variable called month, whose value represents basically a month. And the entire code that we typed simply displays the name of the month based on the value of the month using the switch statement. So all these cases are primarily based on the switch statement that we created for the month. Now when I execute this, let me run this code and see our results. So let's go ahead and click on the Run option. This will bring up the Save and Launch dialog box. Simply click OK to save. And Java says there's some errors in the workspace. And let me go ahead and proceed. And what Java finds here is that it tells us that the local variable month string may not have been initialized at switch main or switchdemo.main. So if I were to click on the switchdemo.java at 33, it tells me that it can't really print out because it did not initialize the variable. And as I hover over it, it tells me that there's a quick fix available called initialize the variable. So what do we mean by initialize the variable? If I click on it, notice it says string month string equals null. So here we need to declare null as the value for this variable. So since we use the int month equals 8, the string month string must be null unless and until we specify a value here. So that's the reason why I did not initialize, because we needed this line of code, because just by specifying string and month string doesn't really tell Java anything. So we made sure that we had a null value for this variable. So let's scroll down and notice at this point our syntax errors are corrected. Let's go ahead and run this. Click OK. And then now our output is August. Perfect. So since our variable was 8, which means our 8th month is August. So if I scroll down, here's our case number 8, which is August. So this way it's going to keep checking for equality until it meets the criteria called int month. And this is good because we now also learn the concept of having a null value as part of the variable. So practice using the switch statement. Let's move to the next lesson.